The wind howled like a tormented soul outside the ramshackle cabin, sending shivers down Clara's spine as she huddled closer to the meager fire. It was a bitter winter night in the remote mountains of Appalachia, and Clara had sought refuge in this forgotten place. She had heard whispers of a vengeful spirit that haunted these woods, and now, alone and desperate, she would come face to face with the chilling truth. Clara's journey had begun in search of her missing brother, Ethan, who had ventured into these woods weeks ago and never returned. The locals spoke in hushed tones of the vengeful spirit, a restless entity that sought retribution for wrongs committed against it. They warned her not to enter the woods after dark, but Clara's determination to find Ethan was unwavering as she warmed her trembling hands by the fire. Clara recalled the legends that had led her here. The spirit, they said, was once a woman named Eliza who had lived in the mountains with her family over a century ago. Her life had been one of hardship and loss, and her bitterness had grown with each passing day. When her family fell victim to a cruel injustice at the hands of a powerful landowner, Eliza had sworn revenge before meeting. Clara had heard tales of a ghostly figure with long, disheveled hair, her eyes burning with an otherworldly rage. She had been seen near a small, forgotten cemetery deep within the woods. That cemetery was now her destination. With a flicker of the fire's dying embers, Clara rose to her feet and ventured outside. The forest was silent save for the mournful wail of the wind. Moonlight filtered through the skeletal branches of the trees, casting eerie shadows that seemed to dance with malevolent intent. Clara's heart raced as she walked deeper into the woods. Guided only by the faint glow of the moon, the cemetery was a desolate place, hidden away from the world. Tangled ivy clung to weathered tombstones, their inscriptions worn away by time and neglect. Clara's breath hung in the frigid air as she scanned the graves, searching for any sign of Ethan. There, near the edge of the cemetery, she saw it, a fresh mound of earth, a makeshift grave. With trembling hands, Clara knelt beside the grave and began to dig. Her fingers scraped against the cold, damp soil, and her mind raced with the horrifying possibilities of what she might find. But her determination to uncover the truth overpowered her fear. As the first shovelful of earth fell away, Clara uncovered a wooden box. She pulled it from the ground, her heart pounding in her chest, and carefully pried it open. Inside, she found a tattered journal, its pages yellowed with age. It was Ethan's handwriting. The journal spoke of strange occurrences in the woods, the feeling of being watched, whispers carried on the wind, and a growing sense of unease. Ethan had become obsessed with Eliza's legend, believing her spirit held the key to unlocking a hidden treasure that would change their lives forever. He had ventured deeper into the woods, drawn by an unseen force. With mounting dread, Clara read the final entry. It spoke of a ghostly encounter, of seeing Eliza's vengeful spirit in the moonlight. Ethan had tried to communicate with her, to appease her restless soul, but he had unwittingly unleashed her wrath. A bone-chilling gust of wind swept through the cemetery, extinguishing Clara's lantern. Darkness enveloped her, and she felt a presence drawing nearer, a malevolent force that seemed to seep from the very earth itself. She clutched the journal to her chest, her breath trembling as she whispered a desperate plea for Ethan's forgiveness. The air grew frigid, and Clara's heart stopped as she heard the rustle of leaves behind her. Slowly, she turned, her lantern flickering back to life, revealing the ghostly figure of a woman with long, disheveled hair and eyes burning with an otherworldly rage. It was Eliza, the Vengeful Spirit. Clara's voice caught in her throat as she watched Eliza approach. The spirit's ethereal form seemed to defy the law of nature, her tattered dress billowing as if caught in an otherworldly breeze. Her outstretched hand reached for Clara, and with a blood-curdling scream, she lunged forward. Clara stumbled backward, her heart pounding, and scrambled to her feet. She fled through the cemetery, the ghostly apparition in relentless pursuit. The woods seemed to close in around her, the trees becoming gnarled, sinister forms that blocked her path. The wind howled louder, carrying with it the tormented whispers of 100 lost souls. With every step, Clara felt Eliza's icy grip closing in. She could hear the spirit's haunting wails, the cries of a tortured soul seeking retribution. Her breath came in ragged gasps, and her strength waned as the spirit's presence grew more oppressive. Just when Clara felt she could go no farther, she stumbled upon a small, dilapidated cabin hidden among the trees. With the last of her strength, she forced the door open and tumbled inside, slamming it shut behind her. The cabin offered little solace, its walls covered in eerie symbols and faded photographs of people long gone. Clara huddled in the corner, clutching the journal to her chest. Outside, the wind continued to howl, and the cabin seemed to shake with the force of Eliza's fury. The Vengeful Spirit's tormented cries echoed through the night, a chilling reminder of the darkness that lurked in these forsaken woods. Hours passed, and Clara's fear began to subside as exhaustion overtook her. She knew she couldn't stay in the cabin forever, but she also couldn't face Eliza's wrath again. With trembling hands, she lit a small fire in the cabin's rusted stove and tried to find some semblance of comfort in its feeble warmth. As dawn broke, Clara mustered the courage to leave the cabin. She ventured back to the cemetery, clutching the journal tightly. With the first rays of sunlight, Eliza's vengeful spirit seemed to dissipate like morning mist. Clara whispered a heartfelt apology to the spirit and left the journal on the grave. With a heavy heart, she made her way back to the ramshackle cabin where she had taken refuge the previous night. There, in the dim light of morning, she discovered a faded photograph on the cabin's wall, a picture of Eliza, once a young woman with dreams and hopes, now a tormented soul seeking justice. Clara knew she couldn't bring her brother back, but she was determined to honor his memory and put an end to the cycle of revenge that had trapped Eliza's spirit for so long. She would share the journal's contents with the world, in the hopes that others would heed its warning and avoid the vengeful spirit's wrath. As Clara descended from the mountains, leaving behind the haunted woods, she couldn't help but wonder if the vengeful spirit had finally found the peace it had sought for over a century. One thing was certain, she would never forget the chilling encounter with Eliza's ghostly rage and the harrowing journey to uncover